hour. That's so yeah, welcome everybody to Fashion Coffee Hour. Of course, I'm Stanley and this is Marcy. And I told Marcy, I said I'd be happy to go out and take some pictures of the window displays. And then I really did so with the eye to fashion. So I think Marcy was disappointed because I think Marcy thought I was just going to go out and take pictures from the idea of amazing window displays, and that's actually precisely what I didn't do. But I took pictures of what I thought were the best displays of fashion, which probably, truth be known, they are the best displays right now in Chicago. So I only took pictures of displays that I thought were telling something or offering something. A number of them have maybe a couple bad examples, but I didn't take pictures of anything I thought was just not worth our time looking at from a fashion perspective. So this first slide, again, thank you, Rachel, for showing these. I really appreciate it. This first slide is Christian Dior. This is in downtown Chicago, actually Chicago on the north side by Walton and Rush Street. And I think every time I've done this window tour, which is twice, I've started with Christian Dior. So it's a good place to start. This is not one of their most spectacular windows, and I don't even think the fashion is that amazing, but I did take it. The next slide we're going to see is a little bit better, but what I want to point out here is that what I was disappointed with, if we can just go back for just a second, Rachel, what I was disappointed, I just didn't think this was pulled together or as neat as a pin as it could be. And the dress, kind of the sack dress here, I thought the form, it's not obvious in this picture, but from a distance, you can see that she's kind of off kilter. And they must have gone in and sold something off the mannequin, and they didn't quite put her in position correctly. And I just thought that was unfortunate. It wasn't working for me. I know Ray knows the guy that works here, so he's probably going to have some 2 cents. But let's go to the next slide really quick, which I think is a better iteration of that same idea of the striped background and the merchandise just kind of being bing, bing, bing. Marcy was going to look into the Lady Dior bag,
pointing out that I didn't.
But we were discussing that I was pretty sure that Lady Dior or Lady Di was a reference to Lady Diana, that the bag was created for Princess Diana. That's how I remember it.
That's true.
Okay, so that it's the style of the bag. I think Princess Diana had solid gold hardware. It was a little bit more elaborate, but this is still the same style. Is that right?
Yes.
See, I did remember that.
Would she wear something? Hi, everyone. Would she wear something with a, very verbose label like that?
I don't know if she ever wore it, but they gave it to her. They presented it to her. They designed it for her and presented it to her as a tribute to her.
I think she carried it. I mean, not the one in the middle that says Christian Dior, but the ones, just the one with the little charms. It's not that obvious.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
but it was kind of an
interesting like that.
Interesting play on words because Lady Dior. It's kind of cute. It's a cute story. But Ray, what do you think? We know the guy. You know the guy that does the displays there, right?
Yes.
Christian Dior.
Well, I know the store manager and half the staff there. They're all ex-Burberry.
The store manager is ex-Burberry?
Yes, she was the stylist at Burberry, and then half the salespeople there are from Burberry. When they opened up,
we didn't know that.
What's that?
Our San Francisco Dior boutique, they all came from Gucci.
Yeah, but Lady Diana wouldn't have a handbag with Dior on it. She wouldn't advertise companies.
No.
She'll have the leather, one of the solid colors. She wouldn't have one with the Dior on it.
The black one, there are a lot of pictures of her with the one black. I think they call it ganache bag, but with the handles.
Yeah, cane, like
cane ones, right?
Like Canage is for cane,
Ray, what do you think is going on in that first window where it looks a little disheveled?
It's actually the most boring window they've done since they've opened.
Yeah, I always love their windows.
Their windows, the last window I always take their windows because they're really beautiful windows. And this is the most boring one they've done. I don't know why, it just doesn't say anything. And those bus forms are really,
they're
not
strange.
Nice. They haven't been fitted to the forms. They don't look nice at all.
Yeah, I thought for trying to be very clean and simple and poignant, they're trying to be poignant. They just weren't. They just were not looking.
Yeah, it didn't work out.
Buttoned up enough. So
we
can move on from Christian Dior then, I guess, to the
Okay,
next.
well, I just Googled it. There's lots of pictures of Lady Di carrying the bag, including with the little charms that say
Charms.
Dior. At the time, it probably wasn't so obvious because it wasn't a thing yet.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's right.
Possibly.
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't a thing.
This is the Chanel store. I took a close up so we could see the fashion as close as possible. And Marcy thought this was a little mixy or too matchy.
Well, I didn't guess it because it was a bit matchy. I mean, it's very nice, but I didn't guess that it was Chanel.
But I thought it was nice.
The sweater on the left has been in a lot of ad campaigns with the Charlotte Casagihiri. Is that her name? The one from
Yes.
Moscow. Yeah,
Yes.
her wearing that one on the left ad campaign. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
a pink that you can't really tell in the picture.
Pink and black.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
it
kind of
was-
classic Chanel.
It was the pink and black. And Marcy, remember, she mentioned that I think in January when she did her style boards. That was one of her
Mhm.
tips, was the black and white with pink, if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
So it's kind of the same thing going on here, but it was nice. It was nice presentation, and it's pretty. To me, it's.
I mean, it does look like Chanel, so I don't know why. It was just the color. It's all matching.
Yeah.
I love their mannequins though, the black mannequins.
Well, and also they have the black hose, and we were just talking about the black hose last week. That Marcy said that was directional. So there you go.
Green shoes? Is it green?
Hi, Jean.
Hi, Marcy. Are those green shoes? It looks green on my screen.
I think they're gold.
Yeah, I don't remember green. I don't remember them being green.
It
Yeah, I think they're gold.
gold.
But actually, Ray's
Right.
comment about Dior being kind of boring. This was probably one of the more least elaborate windows at Chanel.
Mhm.
The prop they have are basically window frames behind the mannequin, so it's like a window within a window. But it was very simple. It was very nice, but it wasn't the most elaborate thing going on.
Mhm.
I guess we can go on to the next slide, please. Oh, and this is Tory Burch, which I thought it caught my eye immediately. Actually, this was the idea I came up with for the window tours, because I thought, oh, this is just like JJ Martin with here we are back to these prints. And of course, I thought this was kind of a East Indian sari kind of interpretation. And I wasn't sure if this shopper, I guess if you were not a young shopper, you might not even know that you were spoofing on an Indian sari, but that's how I saw it. But
Spoofing sounds maybe they got inspired by
inspired.
something.
Okay,
Yes.
inspired.
Good word.
Inspired is good.
It looks horrible with the masks. They shouldn't use masks in the windows, It really puts customers off, when you look at mannequins with masks on, even though we have to wear it outside, but the mannequins, it looks terrible with that.
I agree.
It's really
Throws
bad.
the whole-
It turns you off. And also that big square scarf to wear like that, it looks awful over that blouse. It all goes to the person who's dressing these. They're not dressed well. That's what it is.
Mhm.
Well, that's the styling, the fashion styling.
The styling is really bad on there. The clothing is nice, but it's not styled nice.
I
Mhm.
agree. That's a common theme
Terrible.
throughout. That makes it or breaks it. Well, let's leave Tory Burch then. Let's
The
move on.
colors are beautiful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, now this is Escada, and I thought the picture on the left with the green pants and the black and white, I thought that grouping, there was something you could take out of that. There was something to get out of that. But the other side, the right side with the pinkish salmony color, was also something you could have made something out of that, because I think the figure standing with the asymmetrical hemline, I thought that was okay. But the
Mhm.
other gown that's hanging to the floor on that mannequin, who's positioned just off in the corner there, is really bad. So I would have put her on a seated mannequin. If you'd put her on a seated mannequin, draped on over a chair or like a cube, the dress would have flowed, would have had some motion to it. It would have been a much better grouping also of a standing and a seating mannequin. But I thought this was an example of really poor merchandising, because maybe that particular merchandise isn't really for anybody, but you could have framed it in a way that would have made it more appealing to more people if you had merchandised it a little bit different. This was a terrible example. And this also made me think, similar to Christian Dior, that maybe there wasn't somebody on site, because this window, when I went back at night and photographed it again, I noticed that some of the light bulbs were burned out in the window as well. So a real lack of care. I know Escada, from the other phone calls we've had, Escada is, I think, really a least favorite amongst people. They love to beat up Escada. You know, I'm just looking at it from a visual presentation standpoint, and I just thought the grouping on the left was believable, but the one on the right, not so much.
Stanley, what's happened is they've got rid of their visual people in a lot of these stores since the pandemic, and they have, looks like they have salespeople dressing the mannequins, and they have no idea about placing or that kind of stuff. That's what's happened, I think. They're not using visual people doing these, because a lot of them will let go, I know.
That makes
like
sense.
you said, lighting's out and they don't know how to do lighting. So that's what it is. There's no visual person doing these windows.
That's too bad.
It is because it really shows, and just it makes a bad.
Shows,
you know,
really
it's like they talk about in business and real estate, the broken window effect. I mean, it really does convey the idea that nobody cares. It gives me the impression that nobody cares at Escada because it looks terrible.
And the window is what brings the customers in, you know, and then they look at this.
Yes.
They're not going to bring customers in.
So let's press on. Let's not spend any more time at Escada. Okay, this is Tom Ford across the street. This is on us. These are all on East Oak Street. And I took this again, not so much because it was significant, but just because it was significantly boring. And I thought they were trying very hard to make something profound and look important out of something that really, I'm sorry, the blue jeans and the black shirt and the bag, it's just not cutting it for me. There's nothing special about that. And it doesn't look more special being reverently placed inside that cube. So I know other people have tried this and they do it, and it's a common theme. I know Burberry has done this with the cube thing. And I think maybe it's a little bit more successful there because the clothes are lighter and more multi-layered and more dimensional. But this, I wasn't really impressed with Tom Ford either. What do you think, Marcy?
Yeah, I don't care for it. And I've seen more of the same from him.
You have? I mean, I always think of Tom Ford as being like a dramatic gown or a...
No, but this window
this presentation,
box,
the box. Yeah. So enough of Tom Ford.
I guess he's going for what people wear now because they're not wearing gowns.
Yeah, I mean, I can see looking at those jeans and going, oh, I like those jeans, and going in. But I agree, it's all the greatest display. But the pieces, if you like that shirt, you like, those are all useful pieces.
I just thought it was very ordinary. And so, you know, you might like those things, you might buy those things, but I just thought from a presentation standpoint for the public, I thought it could have been something a little bit more engaging. It's just not that engaging to me.
Yeah, the guy's paying millions of dollars for that property and those windows, and he could do better with something that, you know, you really want to make that building look even nicer, and this doesn't do it for me.
Well, I said in a couple instances that people were cautious about what to put in the window, or they could just do something alternative. Like he could have just done, you know, a pile of Tom Ford shoe boxes, or just do something conceptual. Then just forget the clothes. So let's press on to something completely different. This is next door at Dolce & Gabbana.
Oh, yes.
And I'm expecting Leslie to say something about this.
Oh, yes.
Leslie?
Love it.
Love it?
What's not to like? Look at all the color.
Yes.
Happy.
And appealing to many figure types.
Yeah, I agree.
I still think they could have done a better job, though. What do you think, Ray?
I think they do have a visual person there, because I know the person who does those windows. But is this the window they're having right now? Then is it?
It's two windows. It's the right side, and
on
the
each
left side.
side. Oh,
Yes, two separate windows.
Yeah, it's you know, if you've seen their advertisement right now, it's exactly that. It's just there's a lot of pattern over pattern, and that's what it looks like, you know. But it's nice. It's colorful. It's spring, you know. And they've tried to put the shoes and you know, with the I wouldn't put, if you have shoes, you don't want to put the shoe stuffing into it. Like it looks horrible with a gold one in the center.
Yeah.
You see the one on the left there, how nice that
Mhm.
looks. Like,
Yeah, it was like they made a
then you
mistake.
have the shoe inside. It doesn't make it look very nice.
Yeah.
And so on. But that's their look in all their advertising right now. So,
Hmm.
but
I agree that I thought it was something, you know, pleasing from the street level, and it's unique. It wasn't like same old, same old.
Yeah.
It looked like something different offering. And I, just because we'd come off the JJ Martin, I thought a lot of the patterns and colors reminded me of what we were seeing there. And I appreciate JJ Martin for the same reason, just kind of in the urban context, kind of offering something altogether different, juxtaposing.
I have a question for
Yes.
Marcy. What do you think of those Dolce patchwork jeans? I think they could be without the jacket, but with the blue sweater could be quite spectacular. I wonder what you thought of those jeans.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know, we're on a phone tonight and your face is covering them, but they're patchwork. And the question you said?
I thought they looked quite spectacular without the blazer. I wondered what you thought of those
Oh.
jeans. Would they?
I think they're adorable.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't think they would
aren't-
necessarily be a fad if you accessorize them appropriately.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think earlier we liked the jacket with the jeans. We thought that was one of the more believable looks when we looked at them earlier, but maybe Marcy changed her mind. But I like the jacket with the jeans. You think it's too much, Marcy?
Oh, it depends on your personality. I mean, for Leslie and I, we like the jeans with something else. Mary
Yeah.
Beth might
Mhm.
like them together. You know, it just depends.
Yeah, Stanley, here's their advertising. You can see how much I don't know if you can see it, but
Yeah.
overdone.
Yeah.
It's so much outfits they're all together, you know, and it's
Yeah.
sort of the same colors of that. So,
Well, so I guess if you've seen their advertising, then you probably appreciate this display even more. But probably for somebody, I mean, I liked it, but I'm saying probably for somebody who is not familiar with the brand, they might walk by and be really, you know, thrown by it. They just might think it's way too much. The only thing I didn't care for fashion-wise was the yellow. I guess Mary Beth's calling it gold. I see it as yellow, the yellow dress. Not that I just like it. I just didn't think it didn't hang texture-wise, material-wise, fabric-wise, pattern-wise, even color-wise. It just didn't hang with anything else. I wouldn't have minded it being in the display, but maybe if it was just by itself in its own space adjacent to everything else. I just thought that was a
So I
weird.
think there are two conversations. You know, you're talking about placement, Ray would be two, and then Mary Beth or I would be talking about individual pieces that
Yeah.
they like. Which, I mean, you're giving the presentation, so we want to hear your
Well,
opinion on.
I just don't think that yellow dress really belongs in that
No.
composition.
Yeah, it looks
personally.
really cheap. I can't tell what fabric it is, but it looks cheap.
It does look cheap,
It's
doesn't it?
very strangely styled. What is going on the bodice?
So yeah, but I thought there were some hits and misses here, but I did take it because I thought it was definitely a great effort.
You know what? Maybe they sold something off the mannequin and just
Mm.
threw that dress on.
Yeah.
And would you wear
Because it
gold?
doesn't even,
Yeah.
it's not even, doesn't fit it.
Would you pair it with gold? It just seems like at least they look gold to me, the shoes.
That's a good question, Marcy. What accessory would you pair with yellow? That's a good question.
I mean,
Well, I
gold-
mean, after the trend show, you might do black and, you know, metallic always works.
Yeah. I
Gold
would
or
say
silver.
green. I would say finding a color that's that, you know, has a component of yellow. It could be a blue or a green that has a
yeah.
component. In
Yeah, we'll see that at the end. You're right, Linda. But also silver, I never would have thought of silver. Marcy's right. Silver probably would work, oddly enough. Okay, let's press on then. We're doing a good job. We're tearing through these. We are a really tough crowd. This is this Maj store, M-A-J-E, is that correct?
M-A-G-E, I think.
M-A-G-E.
M-A-J-E.
Hey.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
And also on Oak, it's just a couple doors down from Dolce & Gabbana. And I took this because it reminded me of a couple of Marcy's styling tips with the idea of the blouse. It's not completely buttoned up with the blouse jacket. And then I thought this dress was I thought that was believable. And
Cute.
compared to Dior, where the merchandise really didn't look good on those forms, I thought this dress looked pretty good on this form. So I thought that was good. These were very boring displays, but I thought the fashion was good. the jacket and shirt and blouse thing, you probably can tell a little bit, but it was unfortunately askew. Like the mannequin wasn't standing correctly on her base and she was a little bit lopsided, which again, that's just a thing of mine where I really don't like it when things are not plumb and they're not vertical or horizontal, like they're lopsidoodle. That just freaks me out. So I find it disconcerting but I mean, the fashion was fine. The placement was good. It's just, that was the
I
only
think
little.
the one on the
trick.
left's a little boring though.
Very
Yeah.
good.
It is. But
This is a young French brand. It's like for younger people and it's French and it's like the Paris cool girl. So
Mhm.
it's boring on a 50-year-old woman probably, but put it on a 20-something French girl maybe. So the Maj and Sandro are sisters.
Yeah.
Two companies, yeah, and they're both kind of go for the young.
I would say though, that Maj had a couple of years ago had what I would, so I'll separate the fabric, but they had what I thought were much more classic, some more classic pieces. They had black, short sleeve, ribbed, tailored, little slightly sexy things that weren't so obvious. I think they have their mind or whatever they aim for, it just is all over the place, one year to the next. So I got a couple of things from them that, have just been staples in my wardrobe as basic plain knit pieces that I could just go anywhere with, but then they sort of shift up and you never know what you're going to get in that store.
interesting,
Yeah,
Linda, but
I mean, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Linda, that's interesting though, but what you have gotten there, you've been happy with.
I haven't bought anything for over 2 years because it's just so all over the place.
Oh,
I think that's
Yeah.
kind of the look.
Well, I was
to have pieces all over the place, pieces kind of mixed together, just kind of thrown together. Like that seems to be kind of their.
Yeah, I think
And then,
Mary Beth is right. It's not worn properly. Those are nice pieces, all of them, but they're just put on a mannequin and not styled on a mannequin. So if a young French girl wore it, of course it would look completely different and it'd be more fashionable. But the way they have it like that is very boring looking. That's what it is.
that's what I meant.
Yeah.
As a display, it looks very
Yeah,
boring.
very
I wear blazers and shirts all
Yeah.
day long,
Yeah, and
but
then
that mannequin just
yeah, it looks
looks,
terrible. If you've done the
boring.
buttons up and done the blazer up and take that belt off the jean and put it on the jacket, it would have been just a little bit more trendier. Push the sleeves up a little bit, still too long, and so on. You got to know how to wear this stuff. You can buy boring outfits, but you can make them look really, really nice.
Yeah, you're right. So they need to do that. They need to market themselves.
Again, this store is done by salespeople. They don't know how to put merchandise on mannequins, and you can tell.
yeah, I think it's my impression they sell a good amount of clothes though.
Oh, they do.
but from a business standpoint, you're right. They're just selling clothes. They're really not known for a handbag or designer fragrance or anything, or even shoes. Do they sell anything else that's?
They're not designer. But
So-
yeah, they do sell some shoes, and I think Sandra's known for a little more, classic, and then Maj is a little more something else. I don't know what Maj is exactly. Mary Beth, you said something about it.
Well, young French girl. So it's like, let's do a cool young French girl look. That's kind of their aesthetic they go for. My daughter, who's 21, she gets some of their stuff sometimes in Sandro too, because they're nice, but they're not so expensive, and they go on sale a lot, as you can see.
Yeah,
Well,
Stanley, I want to say the best thing about these photos is your photos, the reflections.
There you can see the reflections. You can see me in there.
The photos are beautiful. Of the not so beautiful windows.
I do want to say that, Stanley.
What is it you're seeing in there? You can see my reflection.
If you take it at an angle, you won't get any reflections, or yourself in a photograph, or the buildings.
Yeah.
But I like
never
the
take a
buildings.
frontal view of a window, always at an angle.
But I was complimenting it though, saying I like the buildings.
Oh,
I
you
guess
like
that's-
the buildings.
the best part of the
I
photo.
would have got fired if I had done that in New York.
Well,
So
actually, 'cause
this one, he took straight on and I don't see the glare.
what we're saying
No,
is
the
you're
buildings.
seeing the buildings behind it, I
The
guess.
buildings
across
are
the street.
also-
Oh.
They are across the street.
Yeah.
You don't know if
Oh.
that's a part of the prop or what is that?
So I
But
like seeing the buildings. I guess maybe because I'm not in Chicago, I like seeing.
well, see, in the old days when we did displays, like we would always put some sort of backdrop, like
Oh,
either
yeah,
you know,
of course.
panel or just even something to kind of bounce things off. But that's, you know, we gave up that battle a long time ago. But I was focusing on the fashion, so all I really cared about is that we could see the fashion in the shots. But I mean, you might as well be seeing the buildings because there's nothing else to see in the backdrop. You're just looking
Yeah, I think
into
it
the store.
adds to it.
Say
Yeah.
fashion in the city.
Let's
I
go
was
past
thinking,
this.
what
This
is that
boring.
wallpaper?
Well, you could say it's kind of fashion in the city, and
Mhm.
there's something to be said for that background, you know, situating it against the city.
Well, now I know that it's French. That looks like, you know, an old gas light across the street there. It kind of looks cool.
Well, this is East Oak Street, so it's got a lot of old
Mhm.
townhomes and different kind of vintagey
Right.
things going on. But let's press on because we have to see more merchandise. This is
Anne
Anne
Fontaine.
Fontaine, and I thought this was kind of unusual. I don't think I've seen something so structured. I always think of Anne Fontaine as a little bit more roughly, fluffy, but this looked a little bit more formal and constructed. Kind of, it's a jacket, really, I guess, right, Marcy?
Looks like it is.
And
Probably
then,
something in between a blouse and a jacket, though.
and I didn't know she even had shoes or handbags, but I snapped that photo just so we could make note
note.
of that. Yeah, but you know, again, nothing spectacular about this display, but you know, interesting.
Straightforward. You
Yeah,
can see it and
you can see it and-
clearly, and
Yeah, her presentation usually is pretty simple. But yeah, no backdrop, no decoration, no.
Is that Stan? Is
Nothing.
that you back here, right there at the top, next door to the mannequin with the bald head, and the black?
I
Is that
think
your
it is.
face?
Yeah, that's him.
Yes.
Right shoulder there.
Like
Yeah.
Alfred Hitchcock.
Some
Shows
Yeah.
up.
I think this is
Well-
some conceptual arts.
I went out on Sunday morning when I went to get my coffee and did some shots, and then I came back at night and did some shots. And it was funny because there were other people out. They weren't taking photos, but there were definitely people out totally window shopping, which was fun to see. So let's press on to our next stop. I think we're almost done with Oak Street. Yes, we are. So I went around the corner to Michigan Avenue, and this is two shots. One shot on the left is Louis Vuitton, which is through a scaffold because there's some construction going on at the Palmala building, and they've had this big orange or peach and the dove in the window since January, and they just keep changing the merchandise. It's kind of elaborate. It's unfortunate you can't really appreciate it because of the construction, and the fashion is really, I mean, it's really nothing to write home about, is it, Marcy? It's
I
a
can't tell, you know, is that a leather jacket?
black
Yeah,
leather
leather.
jacket and a skirt,
Yeah,
a
leather
Yeah.
jacket.
constructed skirt. No,
Yeah,
There's
it looks like a race car driver's jacket, I guess.
and
Yeah,
then
it's kind of a bomber.
What, Mary Beth?
It's sort of, yeah, it's sort of like a bomber. I mean, a fitted bomber. I don't know. So race car driver is probably a good word for it. I don't think it's leather. I don't know.
Yeah, no,
But-
it doesn't have a sheen really, does it?
Yeah, it's
maybe it's
more like a
neoprene or something.
athletic jacket.
Mary Beth, do you have a peach in your Louis Vuitton store in San Francisco?
No.
Oh,
you would think I would know.
Jean,
You
have
would
you
think
seen
I
it?
would know because it's right across from Neiman Marcus, which is basically the only store I go to. So I don't know. I'll look next time.
How about Marianne in New York? Is there Louis Vuitton? Do they have the big orange peach in there?
You know, I haven't gone down in the last couple weeks down to 57th Street, but I don't know. But I feel like the windows in New York, and maybe I should share some pictures. I think they've done a really good job. So I'm surprised that for some of these larger names, I agree with Ray that I bet they cut back on the staff.
They have.
You got to believe in New York, though, they might have kept someone on staff and that person could coordinate with you would think. It's
Right,
such a missed opportunity with advertising.
right. Even just remotely, they could do it.
Yeah.
Say,
Right.
no, that's bad.
And then the store, the picture on the right is Alice, is it Alice or Alice?
Alice and Olivier.
Alice and Olivier, and they usually do kind of campy things, and this wasn't the most campy, but I thought it was interesting enough. And a little baby doll, short dresses, I thought was kind of fun, and wasn't, no, it was
The
not.
backdrop that looks like wallpaper. It's pretty.
Yeah, the backdrop was kind of, at least it had a backdrop,
Right.
something going on, and the blue gown was pretty. It was fun and fresh and clean, and it was pretty well illuminated inside the store. So that was just on Michigan Avenue as we turned the corner. Let's press on now to across the street. I think we're going to Gucci next. So this is Gucci, and this actually caught my eye about a week or so ago, just because I thought, oh my God, it looks like a Burberry kind of Agatha Christie, something going on here. And later on, I was discussing with Marcy. I didn't really know if it was spring per se, but I guess that's all out the window as far as, what is a season or what is spring, what isn't spring. But I like this. The more Marcy and I talked about it, we thought this is really well styled, and it's all buttoned up and it's all layered. And I told Marcy that this one, I'm calling it plaid because I'm an American and it's not Burberry. This one plaid coat reminds me of what Ray used to do years ago at Burberry. His mannequins were always very well accessorized, well layered. Everything was buttoned up and really styled very nicely. And I thought these were nice examples of nice display and nice merchandising.
I agree. What does everyone else think?
I like it.
Like,
Best we've seen.
Adorable.
I think they're dressed well. It's very brown looking to me, but
Are the white socks intentional on the right to show off the cuffs, do you think?
that's
It's
kind
very,
of.
my eye went right. zzz.
That's what I was saying before. I said, go into your wardrobe and you got all of these pieces. You can mix and match them and you'll never be wrong because look how they put it all together. Nothing really goes anywhere, but you can mix and match. That's a gentleman and that's a lady and she's wearing all different things. You'll never be wrong with Gucci.
Oh, with Gucci in particular.
Yeah. I like
I
the
would say
window on the right.
generally
You have it.
things are a bit like that, wouldn't you say, Ray?
What's that?
I would say generally as well. Generally.
Yeah, generally as well, because they know that Gucci's making a lot of money and everyone else is trying to do it.
Mhm.
Louis Vuitton, Burberry, and so on. Everyone's trying to do that same thing. But I think it's slowly leaving. It's been doing now 3 years like this, so I think it should be out the door soon.
Mhm.
Well,
I
that
like
also
the
kind of
window
brings
on
us
the
up.
right. If you have, that's a real nice window.
But you bring up a good point, Ray. They do sell all these items. So they do have, the reason it's multi-layered is because this house is multi-layered. They sell clothing, fashion, shoes, handbags, accessories.
Right.
They sell it all. Like
Yes, they probably-
Sanrio and Maj, they probably don't have, like I mentioned, they don't have a handbag line. They don't have
Right.
shoes. They don't have a whole depth of product line.
No, they're not a designer.
Yeah.
I mean, they're on a different level.
So that's part of the difference, but it makes for a great display. And this was a very elaborate display. It's like a little stage set. Their heads are purposely cut off. The heads are actually in the display, but you have to really get really close and look up because there's like a ticker tape header that cuts off their heads with a ticker tape about fashion and trends. And they're doing like a little photo shoot thing going on. So it is very much focused on the detail of the clothes and not so much the mannequin. And we can take a look at another Gucci example compared to Aritzia on the next slide. So the one on the left is Gucci around the corner. And I thought these were great examples. I guess this speaks to Ray's comment about you can never be wrong with Gucci because they've got it pretty mixed up. They've got some mixing of the different patterns and things going on. Marcy, what do you think about it?
Just from a display standpoint, I don't think it's compelling. Now, the clothes are great. Yeah, great. But from a visual standpoint, I don't think it's terribly compelling.
I thought it was, speaking to the idea though, they obviously have someone taking the time and care to merchandise it. So it's
Yeah,
not
they
just,
Definitely do.
somebody
Yeah,
didn't
they
just
do.
sell that red hat yesterday and then plop another red hat. Like that hat is on there with
Yeah.
purpose, and
Yeah.
everything is in there with purpose. It's not just thrown in there. So that's what I thought that's what I was seeing, was that, well, these people have somebody who's styling it
They do. Yeah.
almost to perfection. And
Yeah,
then the
what it
slide on
is-
the right,
What it is
Go ahead, Ray.
actually is each of these outfits are from the runway. They get the numbers and then they have to put those exact outfits together. So they might come out on the runway like this, but when you put them in a window, it looks a little different because, you know, there's so many different colors and so on. But they do come out on the runway one by one like that.
Huh.
And they
and then the one on the right is Aritzia. And they have about 7 display windows. And this is the only one that really had anything that looked somewhat fashion forward. And the only reason I thought it was fashion forward is because I just came from Gucci, from this Gucci display on the left. And I thought, well, it's kind of same color family, same kind of texture, sheen, surface thing going on. So I thought that was interesting. The rest of the Aritzia windows weren't even worth taking a photo of because it was literally just clothes thrown on a form.
Mhm.
So I thought that was kind of interesting, but I didn't think these Aritzia fashion figures were so bad. They told some story that related to what you were seeing elsewhere.
I think that the display is fine. I'm just not a fan of that brand. I think they have some good things, but they're overpriced.
Oh.
Well, let's press on. I think we're moving down Michigan Avenue now to Max Mara, or no, actually we're stopping at Real Real first. So Real Real opened, I think in December or January, and their windows have been consistently terrible. And Marcy and I have discussed this, and we think it's because, you know, they sell one-off items, and it's always turning over. So the mannequins, whatever's on display could be sold an hour later, and then they just throw something else back. And also, the only reason I took these pictures is because this is the first time I've gone by this store, which I thought it looked okay. Like I thought these fashion figures looked okay, and because I was perceiving that was either a Burberry or Burberry inspired men's
No, that's
jacket.
the Burberry raincoat.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
That
I,
Burberry raincoat looks fabulous, I think, right?
but
Mhm.
I have,
The raincoat.
I don't know if this represents, you know, where we're going with Michigan Avenue. But I've looked at their windows a number of times, and I don't know, they're not selling themselves very well, in my opinion. But
Well, that's what Stanley
I
says.
agree.
Well, and then as far as a display standpoint, see what I would have done, I would just do the form and just do something abstract and then have just one item on it. Just
I
put
agree.
a handbag across the naked mannequin, or a jacket on a naked mannequin, or just something more conceptual, because it's just looked like rags. And some of the combinations have been horrific. I mean, I'm not even a fashion person, but it's been bad. So this was better. But we must press on because I guess we're a little bit more than halfway, I hope. So let's just crank up the speed here to Max Mara.
Mara.
Again, this was not my favorite, but it was elaborate. They made an effort. The fashion is just okay, but you know, the mannequins and the placement, the composition is kind of fun, and it's offering something.
Placement is fun.
Next, please. And this is the Max Mara facing Michigan Avenue. I took this because I thought those funky sleeves with a sleeve. It's a full-length sleeve, but then it's cut out, so your arm can come out of the sleeve. So, I mean, you don't have to guess what's up my sleeve, because there it is. There's nothing up my sleeve.
I've never seen that in my entire career.
Well, now you've seen it.
I've seen those sleeves, but it's like Comme des
Yeah,
Garçons and brands like that. Not Margiela, I think companies like that, not Max Mara. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Well, I just had to share it. Next, please, Rachel. Rachel, you're doing a good job.
Thank you.
Okay, now this is Neiman Marcus. Now, Neiman Marcus, the windows facing Michigan were so awful that I couldn't even make heads or tails of it. But these I thought were charming on the superior side of the store. They're just straight up fashion displays. They've got a piece of artwork. These are 2 separate windows right next to each other. Neiman Marcus, so they're beautifully framed by the building itself. They're nicely illuminated. They've got nice piece of artwork. And again, it's just straight up fashion merchandising. These mannequins actually have hair. They have the wigs, which is old school. Like Ray, his mannequins used to have the hair. And I mean, Marcy, what do you think about the fashion here? It might not be your taste, but you appreciate the effort.
Yeah, I appreciate the effort. I mean, yeah, their windows aren't always great, like the front ones, as you mentioned.
But they have professional people. You have a visual team there, so you know, compared to the smaller boutiques you saw, they don't have salespeople do it. So you can tell the difference. You see,
Yeah.
You can tell a difference because there's more that is, I don't know. I don't know, Ray. Do you think like one great visual person and a team that's kind of mediocre? I mean, which do you choose? I mean, their windows really, these are good. These are great. Their windows are not great.
I also like this because for me, I was seeing some of Marcy's tips about the leather jacket and the tulle skirts, kind of like the high-low thing going on, and the other mannequin with the bag, she's got the scarf wrapped around her waist, and it's got some styling. It's got some styling tips that anybody walking by should pick up some styling tips.
I'm sorry to bash them, but I just think I've seen so many bad windows, you know, when I walk along Michigan Avenue, that I'm just like, what is going on here?
Hey, Marcy, this is Leslie. I do like on the right, those pants and t-shirt worn alone without the jacket. What do you think? I mean, they look kind of cool, bohemian chic, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. What are the pants? I can't, we're on a phone tonight. So.
But it's like, I wouldn't do a white pump. I do a white sandal. And I think that's I know what bag that is, or no, maybe I don't. Do you know what bag that is? Does anyone? It's a cool bag.
Do you know, Mary Beth?
I don't know.
They have a big collection in the windows of Fendi, so I don't know if that's a Fendi bag.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, Marcy and I agreed that the shoes were kind of like super dated, but I gave them credit for trying.
Yeah.
You know. Okay, next, Rachel, please. Oh, this is just Tiffany's. I snapped just because it was Tiffany's, and I did a display 30 years ago with the exact same blue darts. Like that's a stock item out of a US toy catalog. So I was just amused to see. I was just amused to see the darts, which like you can get dozens and dozens and dozens of them for $1. So if you're looking for blue darts, let me know and I can hook you up. Next slide, please.
Oh, we might mention Elsa Peretti died.
Oh, that's sad.
Yes, that's true.
Oh no.
Yes, it is.
Saw that.
Laura, you remember you gave me a floating heart as for a bridesmaid gift.
I did.
Yeah, she's such a talent, and
She really was.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll have to look at her and at some show at some point, because Marcy had some interesting things to say about Tiffany today. But we're at Nike, with the Nike store right now, which has reopened, and they have fashion displays, which for Nike, this was actually more fashion oriented than they've been. Usually they have something very conceptual and very sports shoe oriented, but this, they've got the workout gear and they've got these different silhouettes going on. And this has been a trend. Marianne pointed this out to us in New York last year, that she was seeing, I think that was in Lululemon though, she was seeing the larger mannequins showing the activewear. And you know, here we see it again at
I think this is the most tasteful larger mannequin and outfit that I've seen.
I agree.
Maybe I haven't seen that many. Maybe I haven't seen them.
No, it's tasteful.
I just wasn't crazy about the mauve. I just couldn't believe this mauvey brown taupey color was coming back. But I have to meditate on the color more. I was having more of an issue with the color than anything else. But we can press on if we're not feeling active today. Here we are at Zara across the street, and again, kind of like Max Mara, I thought this was, you know, it was a fun window, a nice presentation. It wasn't amazing, but it was a big space like Max Mara, and they're filling it up with some interesting elements, but it's not going to set the world on fire. And the fashion, kind of similar to that yellow dress in Dolce & Gabbana, it's got some really interesting silhouettes, wrapping, ruching, kind of 30s, 40s Hollywood things going on, and it had some interest. Marcy said no one cares about that. All they want to do is go into Zara and buy, you know, inexpensive fashion forward items. So
I mean, the clothing looks great on the website. And yeah, I think that sells it more than the windows.
Yeah, you're right. I was going to say that the website it looks a lot better than the actual store windows and inside. Yeah, much better.
that's interesting.
Yeah, they look really nice.
Well, let's press on to, I think,
Oh,
Burberry.
Stanley, I have a
Yes.
question about, I'm looking at the football anti-glare makeup underneath. Are those like-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, is that, I don't think I've ever seen that. Maybe you all know
guess-
all about it. Is that
I guess I was
something?
kind of perceiving it as like a, eyelash, like closed eye. Because Max Mara sometimes has weird things like that too. I
Yeah.
thought it was a campy.
Yeah, I
Eyelash.
think it's closed eyes.
Eyelashes they put.
What?
Look.
Huh. Because that, in the NFL, that's anti-glare makeup. I mean, that's
Exactly.
that's how you say what that is. So,
Yeah, these are large eyelashes they put on.
My
fair
goodness.
enough.
Let's press on to, there's Burberry now. So again, similar to last time we looked at Burberry, I had to do a double take to see if it was men's or women's because I was primarily focused on women's. So I took the photograph of the figure on the left first, and I ignored the one on the right because I thought, well, that's some dude. Our people are not interested in that. But then I looked at it again. I thought, well, actually, it's probably could be either. Could be trans. What was the word? I've lost track of the word.
Androgynous.
Androgynous. So what do we think of that?
Nice.
I like it.
I like
I
it.
think it just has a.
I like the trench dress. That's that new dress that they.
Yeah, I like the dress. They're the
I don't know
trench.
if that's the pink or if that's a trench color.
That's what that is, Ray? That's a trench dress. I guess I
Trench
wasn't
dress.
even.
It's a sleeveless trench, yeah.
You can wear it like that with a t-shirt and pants and open it, or you can do it up as a dress.
Interesting.
And the
Quite
design,
fascinating.
the design is a mermaid's tail, right? Right,
Oh.
right. I think it's a
What?
mermaid.
Mermaid's tail,
I
what?
think so. And the back is more, you get like a face or something in the back.
Oh, let's go to the next slide where it shows that eyeball, which I guess I was freaked out by the eyeball. I just didn't know if
T-shirt.
that was.
That's a dress, Maribeth?
No, I'm saying the trench, the sleeveless trench has, I don't know anything about the eyeball. The sleeveless trench, it has that pattern on it is a mermaid's tail. I read.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
I don't even see the pattern.
Well, I guess there is a slight pattern. I wasn't really. No, I was so preoccupied by the eye.
Yeah, the eye's
it was-
awful. I don't know what that eye is.
I thought it was awful too, but let's press on because this is our last stop. Was Macy's on State Street, and this is actually where Marcy and I started last week when we were out just messing around, and we actually thought this was fun, and
Favorite.
those had the color blocking, and the fashion was. I thought it was offering something.
Yeah.
Marcy, what'd you think?
Yeah, I just love this silhouette with this girl with the way her legs are articulated, and I love the blue tights with the yellow heels, and it's just happy and spring-like.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen movement. We haven't seen-
Marcy, do you know the designer?
We haven't seen any movement.
No,
Nice dress.
Well, it's Macy's, so it's nothing.
Well,
No, but
that's so funny. You're right.
Is it
We
just-
didn't even think about who it was. We just thought, it's Macy's. Like,
It could, what I want to get at is it their ink brand? I wonder,
Might be a brand.
perhaps. Yeah.
Rachel, if you could stop screen sharing so we can see everybody. Rachel, thank you so much. We need to give Rachel a hand for
Here's my
Thank
screen
you.
sharing.
Hey,
That was the best screen sharing ever, Rachel.
Why, thank you. Now I have to see how I stop. Oh, wait, hang on. Hold, please.
That's all right. I want to say
There
hello
we
to a couple of
go.
people who joined us, but we're not sure who joined us because we can't see everybody, but somebody else is there. But whoever is there, I hope they're having a good time and enjoyed seeing our
Marcy,
window
Jean-
tour.
It looks like, Marcy, it looks like Jean's here. Did you know that?
It looks like James' hair.
Jean,
Jean,
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
we know.
Jean.
we saw, okay, Jean, we
Yeah,
saw
I
Jean.
saw Jean,
She
but
must have
she-
just turned off
Okay.
her camera.
Okay.
Wait, let's see.
That must be Jean.
I just saw her now for the first, her name.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What did anybody have any final thoughts about what they saw or what they wish they'd seen or what they're hoping to see?
Go ahead,
Linda?
Linda.
Well, I think as weird as it is, the Macy's window had a sense of movement and activity that you could actually see people strolling around and wearing clothes that, you know, had color, etc. And whereas the others seem to be very static. And that's one thing I noticed.
Well, Neiman's had their mannequins were in motion also, but not as dramatic as Macy's.
Mhm. The Max Mara.
Yeah, I mean, Neiman's were pretty classical mannequin,
Yeah.
weren't they? Didn't you think?
That's what I noticed. So that suggests that maybe Macy's hasn't completely given up, even though I guess they're in bankruptcy along with the rest of Federated.
Well,
They
they're
won't-
in reorganization. They're not, I mean, they're reorganizing.
Neiman's reorganizing. Everybody is reorganizing.
Yeah.
We're all reorganizing.
But I mean, it's not like,
organized to begin with.
Raise your hand if you're not reorganizing.
Anyone else have anything else to share about their hopes and aspirations for anything? Anyone get any inspiration from tonight?
Color from Dolce.
Color?
Yeah, from Dolce.
How
I'm
about the,
maybe, oh,
go ahead, Marianne.
I'm probably the only one, but I actually like that yellow dress. I thought it was really pretty.
well, I'd like to see what
I don't like the style, like how they had it styled and with the red velvet chair and all of that, but I thought it was kind of a stunning dress, but you'd have to see it in real life to see the
you
material.
have to
But
see it now.
If you get it, would you show us how you look in it?
Well, you know, Marianne, you should go try it on. You should go, I don't know where Dolce & Gabbana is in New York, but you should go and try it on.
well, I think the windows that, and this is what we didn't see this time, but maybe it's the sign of the times, as Ray was saying, that they don't have an official designer, official window display person working on it. But the windows that tell a story, or it's set up like a scene, or
Love that.
talked about when it looks like they put wire in to make it look like the wind is blowing, or I always think that's such a missed opportunity when they don't tell a story or a scene or bring you into something. That I think
Lost start. I think, you know, there aren't many,
is,
wouldn't you say, Ray? There aren't a lot of display people that are super talented.
Yeah,
They're just not
just
doing
that.
that.
There aren't a lot of companies that would spend a lot of money on that these days, and if they keep getting rid of the creative people who do windows, and it's going to get worse and worse. My favorite windows was Macy's and Dolce & Gabbana. Those were two nice windows. Some of the other ones were, you can tell that it was just put together. It's terrible. It wasn't nice at all.
Well, I mean, that's what Marcy and I thought. We agreed that we liked Macy's the best too, and we were kind of dumbfounded by that. But
Macy's was
also
nice.
here in Chicago, it was also the context. And downtown is so kind of dismal and depressing that Macy's seemed especially cheerful and hopeful in the context of such a bad scene. It just seemed like, wow, that really was uplifting for the area. So that's why I especially appreciated it. It was really a nice juxtaposition. Anyone else have favorites?
Well, I just wanted to follow on with what you're saying is, yeah, you have to, I think it's good to have an emotion that you feel with the window, and it's this kind of the story or just whatever it is that creates a feeling. And most of those didn't have any feeling at all. It was just nothing.
Well, last time we looked at the windows was Christmas time or holiday time. And I guess I have to look at that deck, but I think a lot of those did have more feeling. Maybe it's just, I don't want to say the season, but usually you think spring is being pretty hopeful, but I think there was more feeling probably at the holiday time.
Hey,
And I like that.
So this is what I used to do in the spring, just to go back. I would have put every window, 1,000 tulips in every window. That's what I did a few times. And I put them all in before they were actually even growing. So customers, as they walk past every day, they see these tulips opening up So by the end of 2 weeks, the beautiful red or yellow, they've been growing in the windows. Hyacinths and thousands of them all across Michigan Avenue in the windows, matching the landscape outside where same tulips were growing. So those days are over when they used to have that kind of, you know, and then people will just stand there, wow, you know, it's just, and they see things, and they stand there seeing these things grow in the window, you know. Stuff like that, you will get a lot of, especially in the springtime, we try to get as much color and, you know, that kind of stuff. Or we'll do a beautiful garden scene, or we'll do a front door with all like plants, but all real plants, you know. But those, like I said, those days are over, and people don't do that kind of stuff anymore. You'll just see a mannequin and maybe a light box behind it now, or something like, or maybe just a light box with the design on it. You know, they're not spending the money to you know, have these things done, and they're making more money. So I don't understand why they don't have more of that creativity back on some of these companies. You know, it just drives me away. And they spend so much money on their buildings, and they, you know, the rent is so expensive.
I think
You would
people
do
say
something like
money-
that to bring customers into your store, but
I don't know if
see
it's true. Money can't buy love, but maybe money can't buy creativity.
Yeah, maybe that's it too. And like I said, they got rid of a lot of the visual people, have all gone, and or they'll have one visual person in one store, and he's got to, or she's got to look after all the Midwest stores. There's no way that they can do it, but that's the cutbacks and everything else that they've done.
Hey, Marcy and Stanley.
Yes.
I was just at Saks in on Michigan Avenue and Neiman's this past weekend. And Ray, you might want to comment on this. The stores had absolutely no stock at all. And I think the windows are a reflection of that lack of merchandise, that it's just not available. It's available online somewhat, but it's not in the stores. There's these big, huge boxes of square footage. And I mean, there's clothes, but it's not, it's a third of what it was. And the salespeople said to me, look, because of COVID and all that's gone on, the buy was extremely sparse this season because they just didn't know what was going to happen. So I think maybe the windows will improve for fall, I'm hoping.
Maybe. Yeah.
And what does that feel like, Leslie? Is it a depressing?
Very, it was like a ghost town. It's always, Saks is worse than Neiman's. And it's just like, oh my God, these salespeople are standing around with no customers, nothing to do. And I've been in and out through COVID for the past year, and it's worse than ever. Worse. And I kept thinking, oh, spring is going to get better. No, the stores have a business to run, and they're reacting to the lack of buyers, customers coming in and buying. So the merch is like half what it used to be. And again, I just hope the fall will be better.
But Leslie, part of that inventory thing is a long running issue, because, you know, the stockholders used to really beat these companies up as retailers for having too much inventory. And then, of course, one of our favorite topics, sustainability. We don't want to see manufacturers overproduce merchandise. So that's it's a balancing act.
Yeah, the salespeople said the COVID really affect how the buyers were going to buy. Their buy was way down because they just don't have the customers coming in to support the sales. They do online.
Online is good.
Yeah, but I think that affects the windows. Don't you think, Ray?
Yeah, and what about when you went to the store, you had to line up to get in?
Oh, no, I refuse to do that.
And when you look in, there's actually nobody in the store, and you're wondering, why are you standing outside, you know?
Right.
When you have a 5-story building like Burberry's, and they only bring in one person at a time, it's ridiculous. You know, it just upsets you when you go shopping, you know?
Ray, they're lined up. They're looking for those tulips.
Yeah, exactly. But
so the best time to shop at these stores where you're not waiting in line is Monday and Tuesday when they first open up. If you want to take off on a Monday and a Tuesday before, you know, the maddening crowd comes in that isn't even buying, that's what you got to do now. I don't know, Ray, if you would agree with that, but
yeah, I think those are the best days. Did you get your raincoat fixed?
Oh, listen, Ray, thank you so much. The guy emailed me back, not your contact, but a guy working under him. And I have an appointment next Friday with him and the tailor. So
Great.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
No problem.
Another fashion coffee hour success story, Ray and Leslie. I want to thank everybody so much for taking this tour with me. You know, Linda always mentions bringing beauty into the world. I think we all need to, at springtime especially, be open to the idea of beauty wherever we can find it. And I hope you all saw some beauty tonight. And it was our pleasure to see all of you this evening. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you.
Good
very much.
night.
Good night.
Good night.